Man, we're on a bit of a roll now, huh? Welcome to today's video, where we're going to be talking about yet another good game. I know, something is very, very wrong recently. For some reason, people just keep coming to me with good games, and I have good things to say, so, I'll take it. Welcome to Block Tales, and this game is it's fantastic. Unfortunately, in its current iteration, Block Tales is in a demo, so it's not complete. I don't think it's even really nearly complete. That being said, it's a turn-based RPG heavily inspired by Paper Mario and Earthbound. Unfortunately, I haven't played either of those games, and as I've admitted in the past, I'm not a huge turn-based strategy game player. Not that I don't play those games, and not that I don't enjoy them. Seeing as I gave Final Fantasy VII a 10 out of 10, well, that probably speaks for itself. I am fully capable of enjoying these games, and that was absolutely the case for Block Tales. The premise and story for this game is relatively vague, and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that, well, the game isn't finished. The main idea here, though, is that you are in the world of 2010s Roblox, which for someone like me, who wasn't quite around in the 2010s, but was definitely playing Roblox around that time period, it is super cool to see all the stuff going on here. Whether it be the animations, the witty things that people have to say that are reminiscent of the time period, the items, the sound effects, it all just oozes classic Roblox, and it's super cool to see. As for the gameplay itself, well, I already mentioned that this is a turn-based strategy game, and a pretty damn good one at that. The mechanics on display here are actually really, really fun to interact with, and probably some of the most that I've been engaged while playing one of these games, well, ever. A lot of the time when I look at turn-based strategy games, I'm capable of acknowledging the strategy that's involved in the games, but it also sometimes feels like the game is sort of playing itself. And that is not even remotely the case here. Not only is there a ton of strategy going on in the turn-based strategy game, but also a hell of a lot of player interaction to keep the player engaged. The game effectively operates on a three-pronged system. You have health, you have SP, and then you have mini-games when it comes to dodging or hitting attacks. Your health is, well, as it says. You have a set amount of health, enemies do damage to you, and if your health hits 0, you die. You can prevent damage in a multitude of different ways. Number 1 is that you can dodge an attack that's coming to you. If you press spacebar at the correct time, you can block an incoming attack. If you press it at the very correct time, then you'll be able to parry most melee attacks, dealing damage to the opponent rather than yourself. You can't do this on ranged attacks, so your only choice is to dodge them. Depending on the damage of the attack, a parry will almost block all the damage, but a block may not necessarily do that. You also have the option of directly defending during your turn. If you defend during your turn, as far as I can tell, you have a chance of automatically deflecting the attack if it does low enough damage, as well as taking reduced damage if the attack hits you. The other benefit of defending is that it restores your SP points, which we haven't talked about yet. SP is what you use to use your special moves. SP can only be gained by defending, taking out enemies, or finishing battles. This means that if you want to use your powerful moves, you need to be managing that bar, mostly stemming from using items or defending at the right time. The thing that's really fun and engaging about Block Tales combat is that while you're defending and building back your SP, you can also be dealing damage if you're timing your parries correctly. It means that even when you're just trying to build back your strength, you're still actively playing the game and dealing damage. And the final pillar, which I've already pretty much talked about, is the mini-games when it comes to either activating or dodging attacks. I already talked about dodging attacks, but when it comes to your attacks themselves, they also have mini-games related to them. This is where the inspiration, as far as I can tell, comes from Paper Mario. Whether it be mashing a button, timing a button press, or holding a button and then letting it go at the right time, none of these things are revolutionary in of themselves, but just the fact that it's something on top of just pushing the button and watching it happens makes the game more engaging. The final thing to note on combat, which is something that I know was inspired by Earthbound via my limited knowledge of the game, is the idea of the rolling health bar, which is a really cool system that basically means that when you take damage, you'll take an initial set of damage, and then the rest of the damage from the attack will slowly roll down over your turn, which leaves you time to heal it back if you take fatal damage without just instantly game overing. It is a much more interesting health system than just flat damage numbers, and I'm glad it's here. I sort of touched on it before, but the story of this game is, well, it's compelling. It really legitimately is, but it mostly stems from a whole lot of mysteries, because I don't really understand what the hell is going on right now. We can gather from context clues that your current character has assumedly time traveled, and based off of the final boss, or at least current final boss in the game, it seems like your character might be the catalyst for a disaster, but other than that, it's not extremely clear as to what is going on in the grand scheme of things, and I don't see anything wrong with that considering that, well, we've only reached the first boss in the demo. And just to be 100% clear, I'm talking about the total overarching narrative, not the direct narrative we're given. I know the direct narrative we're given is Builderman has been kidnapped, go save him, but obviously that's not the only thing that's going on here. I already know people are gonna go in the comments and be like, how could you not figure out the story? But it's obvious that's not the only thing that's up. So just to be clear, that's what I'm talking about. One of the other things that I wanted to note when it came to Blacktails is difficulty, because usually when I go into these sort of Roblox games, I expect it to just be a complete cakewalk where I blaze through everything and never even get close to dying. And that was just not true here. As a relative turn-based strategy game noob myself, I can imagine that a lot of just, well, clueless kids logging in here are not going to be going in with a whole lot of strategy, not timing their stuff properly, and just getting whooped. This game is by no rights an absolute cakewalk, and I'm very appreciative of that. I mentioned the Ice King, which is the current final boss in the game, and it took me a long time to finish this battle. Some of that may have stemmed from my build being based around, well, healing myself, which directly reduced my damage output, but regardless of all of that, I had a really good time playing. I only had one real complaint about the game, and that stems from the NPCs. The NPCs are simultaneously a high point and a low point. They're a high point because, well, the developers went through and wrote out dialogue for every NPC in the game, and there's a lot of them. So clearly that had to have taken time to accomplish. That being said, I imagine that a lot of people are just gonna end up running past 90% of the NPCs once they get to maybe the halfway point of the current demo, because you'll learn very, very quickly that talking to the NPCs is largely pointless. In my time playing, I found one, count them, one NPC that actually did something. That's not exactly a great sign. And like I said, for me, it's not the end of the world, especially since I found a fair amount of the dialogue to be charming. My favorite character in the game definitely being the tutorial NPC, because the tutorial NPC is fucking brutal. Not only that, but he doesn't make any goddamn sense, and I don't care. It's hysterical. I love him. But regardless, if every once in a while when you talk to an NPC, they gave you a little bit of experience points, or they gave you an item, or something like that, I think that would benefit the game a lot and make people actually encouraged to interact with all of the NPCs instead of just largely ignoring them. But like I said, that's really the only complaint that I have. I don't have any other things to say that's negative. The game is really fun. It took me about 2 hours or so to get to the end of the demo, and if you have any interest in these games whatsoever, I highly recommend you check this out. Anyways, that's gonna be all from me, so if you enjoyed the video, you can leave a like and subscribe. If you didn't, don't. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day now wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next time.